I've taken the time to study the All-22 coaches film from the Buffalo Bills Week 9 win over the Miami Dolphins, and I'm sharing my top takeaways with you today on Locked On Bills.
You are Locked On Bills, your daily Buffalo Bills podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Bills Mafia? It's Joe Marino, author of Go Bills and Buffalo's Run, also the co-host of the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast, and I'm your host of Locked On Bills. Want to thank you for making Locked On Bills your first listen every day, and a big welcome and shout out to our everydayers. You know who you are. Those of you who never miss a single episode, I appreciate y'all being here very, very much. I'd also like to invite you to subscribe or follow for free on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Folks, welcome in. We've got to break down the All-22 film from the Bills win over the Dolphins. So many things to get into, including a very unique game from Josh Allen, some fun rushing details, the Bills defense, what the heck happened there, studs and duds, snap counts, all kinds of things to cover here today on this episode. I do want to start with Josh Allen. Very, very, very unique game played by him. 39 passing attempts in this game. 35 of those 39 passing attempts less than 10 yards down the field. Josh Allen's air yards per attempt, 3.7 yards. That's the lowest of his career. Never had a game lower than that. The average for this season, to give you even more context, 7.7. His average throw, 3.7 air yards. That's the lowest of any quarterback in the NFL in Week 9. 80.4% of his yards came after the catch. By far number one in the NFL. The next closest in Week 9 was Derek Carr at 69%. 18% of Josh Allen's throws were checkdowns. That's not normal for Josh Allen. He's usually under 10% there. Josh Allen's average time to throw in this game, 2.35 seconds. That's about as fast as you'll ever see for Josh Allen. Sixth fastest trigger of any quarterback in Week 9. Very, 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 very different type game for Josh Allen. And he did what he had to do. The Dolphins gave him soft zone coverage, taking away everything deep. The Dolphins played 22% cover 4, 39% cover 3. That's 61% combined cover 3 and cover 4. That's 3 deep and 4 deep safeties or defensive backs. There's no room to go down the field. Now, they did play some man coverage on their other snaps, but overwhelmingly, this was a zone game. And not cover 2, not splits, not just 2 split zones, 3 and 4. I mean, this was a heavy zone game by the Miami Dolphins. And while you may expect more passing production on 39 passing attempts in terms of yardage, I'm very impressed with Josh Allen in this game. I think it showed a lot of maturity to play the game the way that he did. Living in checkdowns, taking profits, keeping the offense on schedule. There were times when I was watching the tape where I actually wanted Josh Allen to be more aggressive with some opportunities down the field, and that's not something I find myself ever saying when I watch Josh Allen. Normally, I'm begging Josh Allen to be more interested in taking the short, easy throws. And Josh was committed to it, and his patience paid off. I mean, obviously, the Ray Davis 63-yard touchdown was an example of how that patience paid off. Took care of the ball. Took the profits. Didn't force anything. And got the Bills a win. 3 second-half touchdown passes. Should have had more if it weren't for drops. just another chapter in the evolution of Josh Allen, the willingness to play games like this. It's important for that to be in his arsenal. You've heard for years defensive coaches saying, hey, we're going to test Josh Allen's patience. Eventually, he's going to give us one. Nope. Not the case. Very mature quarterbacking for Josh Allen. And we know that this isn't a world that he's always going to live in. But for this game, because it required it, he did. Something to be celebrated, honestly. I like the play action utilization in this game. 27% of Josh Allen's dropbacks were play action. Josh went 9 of 11, 2 of his touchdown passes on play action passes. Nice to see that uptick. A lot of under center play action. That's been a theme here over the last couple of weeks. Thought the Bills did well to beat the blitz. Josh Allen, 10 of 15 against the blitz, 126 yards, all 3 of his touchdowns against the blitz. That's another thing that's really improved throughout the last several weeks is how the Bills handle pressure, whether it's protection schemes, hot routes, sight adjustments, Josh getting the ball out of his hands quicker, handling free runners. It's gotten a lot better. And so it's been a really unique year for Josh Allen, but he continues to be the most mature quarterback that I've ever seen him be. And I like where this is headed. And he did this, remember, no Amari Cooper in this game. Curtis Samuel was on a pitch count. Coleman goes down late in the game, and he's trying to work that game-winning drive for the last several plays without Coleman, without Cooper. Found a way. Let's talk a little bit about this run game, and I'm so satisfied with how the Bills used the running backs in this game. James Cook, 15 touches, 69 yards. Ty Johnson, 3 touches, 23 yards. Ray Davis, 8 touches, 90 yards, and a touchdowns. The running backs combined for 26 touches, 182 yards, and a touchdown. And what I really like here is the distribution of carries and touches amongst 3 different players. Bills have 3 good backs. Cook, Johnson, Davis, all good players. All unique. I mean, Cook is definitely your best zone runner, your best cutback runner. Ray Davis certainly gives you the most contact balance and power. All 3 are good receiving backs. Ty Johnson's clearly your best pass pro back. And so use them all together. And last year, I thought James Cook had too many touches. Last year, he had 281 touches. James Cook right now, this year, is on pace for 242. That's a much more healthy spot for him to be, especially because you do have other worthy backs. Last year, I mean, Ty Johnson got cooking late in the season, but Latavius Murray was like really uninspiring for most of the year. Had to be James Cook. I like the distribution of the ball here with these backs. And I think James Cook being around 15 rushes a game, 15 touches per game, I think that's a healthy place for him to be, especially when you have Ty Johnson and Ray Davis at your disposal. The other big development with the Bills' run game that continued at a high level against Miami is the zone rushing offense. This is really becoming a thing. The Bills against Miami in Week 9, 78% success rate on zone runs. Almost 7 yards per carry on zone runs, 6.89 yards per carry. That's the highest success rate of any team on zone runs in Week 9. 78%. That's crazy. Crazy success. The Bills are chipping away. They're very close to being the best zone rushing team in the NFL, measured by success rate. And they're in the top 3, and they're not far away from being number 1. It's been a very pleasant development. I love the idea of the zone run scheme and what you can build off of that. I think that helps your play action game. I think that helps your screen game. There's a lot. And the Bills set up this cutback zone run better than any team in the league. And James Cook's a very good cutback zone runner. The run scheme right now is just so beautiful. It just really is. And it continues to improve and get better every week. And I love how it's coming together. The offensive line, terrific once again in this football game. All right, folks, coming up on the other side of it, I want to get into the offensive snap counts and have a big discussion about run defense and all the problems that Miami created for the Buffalo Bills in this one. Be sure to stick with me. There's nothing quite like being in the stadium watching Josh Allen throw touchdown passes. Well, if you want to get to the stadium, you got to get to Game Time. Game Time is the fast and easy way to purchase tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you. The app is awesome. It's easy to navigate. They give you flash deals. They give you a picture from your seat. If you buy a ticket, it goes straight to your phone, so you don't have to dig through emails to find it. And I love this. They specialize in last-minute tickets, so you can get a great deal on any event right up until the day of it. So download the Game Time app and take the guesswork out of buying tickets. Create an account and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNFL. That's LOCKEDON NFL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. All right, folks, going to continue this discussion here. But before we do, I want to tell you about the Substack that I launched at the beginning of the season. It's the Herd Mentality Substack. There's a link in today's show notes if you want to check it out. And what it is, I'm writing articles about the Bills, 3 to 5 articles a week, breaking things down, a weekly Josh Allen scouting article, a weekly scouting matchup preview against the team that the Bills are facing, a weekly big picture thoughts column, and a new incentive that I have for the Substack is I now have my All-22 review film clips as a post. So before I did this podcast, I sent out a post to all of the Substack subscribers with 45 minutes of me breaking down clips of this game, showing you exactly all the stuff that I'm talking about in this episode. And so if you want to be part of that, get that right to your email box. In addition to all these articles that I'm writing, check it out. There's a link in today's show notes to join the Herd Mentality Substack. And as an incentive for joining the Substack, you get into the Discord channel. Over 1,300 Bills fans in there talking Bills, talking Sabres, all kinds of stuff. And we have so many cool things going on in the Discord, including a weekly hangout with me every Wednesday night. I give probably an hour and a half of my time doing live questions, talking Bills, talking whatever people want to get into. We do a daily poll. We have trivia contests, so many cool things in the Discord. So join the Substack. You get into the Discord, you get the film clips, and you get a whole lot more content from me. Again, a link in today's show notes to be part of that. Offensive snap counts from this game. 66 offensive snaps for the Bills. Josh Allen on the field for 100% of those. At running back, James Cook, 55%. Ty Johnson, 20%. Ray Davis, 14%. At tight end, Dalton Kincaid, 79%. Dawson Knox, 65%. Q Morris, 12%. Alec Anderson as the big tight end, 17%. At wide receiver, Keon Coleman, 79%. We don't have an update on the wrist. They're undergoing further tests. We'll see what that means. Hopefully he's good to go. He plays a lot of snaps. He's important for this team. Mack Hollins, 68%. Khalil Shakir, 53%. Curtis Samuel, 26%. Jalen Virgil, 5%. And then the offensive line, pretty straightforward. All 5 starters, Dawkins, Edwards, McGovern, Torrance, Brown, they all played 100% of the snaps. All right, let's talk defense. And I want to talk run defense first, and we'll get into like a very big picture conversation on the defense and all the problems that Miami created for the Bills. And one thing that I want to do here is I want to start this conversation by giving you a clip from Taron Johnson. He was asked about the rushing production that they gave up against Miami, and this is what Taron Johnson said. This is This is big. This kind of really dives into something I've been communicating for a long time on this podcast, and Taron Johnson finally said it out loud. Listen in.
They had a lot of success running the ball. For you guys, how is that something that you improve moving forward?
I just feel as though they have really great weapons on the outside, so kind of like playing, like kind of letting them run the ball, if I would say, you know what I'm saying? Just not giving up explosive plays.
The Bills are content with conceding rushing production. Taron Johnson finally said it out loud. They invite you to run the ball. They give you light boxes and say, please come run the ball. We would like you to run the ball on us. We don't want you to have explosive plays in the passing game. And so whether it's by how the Bills align and space the field defensively, that takes away big plays, but also giving light boxes invites runs, this is the choice that the Bills make. And you can find yourself in this place of perpetually being disappointed and frustrated by the Bills' run defense, or you can understand what they're trying to achieve defensively and understand that. The Bills' defense offered Miami a light box, which means 6 or fewer defenders in the box, on 68% of their run snaps. Miami gained 149 yards running the ball, 4.8 yards per carry. But here's the most important part of that. The Dolphins averaged minus 0.07 EPA per run play. Minus 0.07 EPA. EPA is expected points added. And I reference EPA a lot on this podcast, and I probably should have given you this definition a lot sooner. And Bruce Nolan from the Bruce Exclusive podcast, he has a definition for EPA that I think is absolutely perfect, that I think will drive this point home. Remember, the Dolphins had negative 0.07 expected points added per run. So 149 yards, 4.8 yards per carry, negative EPA. This is the definition that Bruce Nolan offers. I think it's really good. When a team has the ball on a specific yard line and a certain down and distance with a certain amount of clock remaining, there are thousands of examples of that exact same down, distance, time trifecta occurring. These thousands of examples taken together can give us an average of how many points it would be expected that the team would score on that drive. Once a play is completed, there will be a new down and distance and, as such, a new expected points total for that drive. The difference between the starting expected points number and the ending expected points number is EPA. EPA is an incredible efficiency metric that tells you way more than what raw yardage totals and average yards per play could ever tell you. For all the rushing production that the Bills have given up this year, including that Baltimore game, the Bills rank number 6, sixth best in EPA per rush allowed at minus 0.11. You have to understand the objectives of the Bills defense before you can continue to allow yourself to be frustrated by the run defense. When you never provide any extra help for your defensive front, it puts a lot of stress on that group with a small number of players to be perfect with run fits. And even if there's a small error, it can lead to a crease, and it leads to an explosive run for the offense. But you have to reconcile that against not allowing explosive plays in the passing game, which are far more correlative to actually scoring points. And remember, the name of the game on defense is to take away points. The Bills make a choice. They make a choice. Now, can they be better in certain areas? Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. But you have to understand structurally what the objectives of the Bills defense are. Take away explosive plays in the passing game, play up the field and try to get some negative plays. And through that, they really challenge you to be consistent and stack play after play after play after play to score points. Now, look, Miami, they did that a few times. They had some long scoring drives. They stacked those plays on top of each other. but it wasn't enough. The Bills won the game. Mike McDaniel, the head coach of the Miami Dolphins, had an unbelievable offensive game plan. Creativity off the charts. He emptied the kitchen sink. He presented a ton of false keys to the Bills, tons of play fakes, tons of misdirection. Every trick he had, he pulled it out. And he does such a good job through scheme of creating leverage advantages and numbers advantages. Sets up angles so well for his blockers. And all of this caused a lot of problems for the Bills. And in a game where they were desperate and they emptied the kitchen sink and showed so much creativity, it wasn't enough. It gave the Bills problems, but it wasn't enough. The Bills won the game. So schematically, they present a lot of problems. And they set up, everything they do is they set up such good angles and they create a ton of leverage advantage, and then they have a ton of speed that goes behind it. If there's something that I think the Bills can do better against Miami, it's block deconstruction. Their ability to beat and get off blocks was poor in this game. Now, again, Miami does well through scheme to really put their players in advantageous situations. But that doesn't mean you can't take on contact and disengage and deconstruct blocks better. That's first level, that's second level. And I thought the two main catalysts for their run game, Aaron Brewer, their center, Alec Ingold, the fullback. Aaron Brewer at center, he's like 280 pounds. He's tiny, but he's explosive, and he's really good in space. And all game long, he's getting free releases to the second level, cutting off the linebackers left and right, and linebackers couldn't get off blocks. Alec Ingold, their fullback, they do such a good job of putting him in motion and then just inserting him into the blocking scheme. And he just kind of picks his way like as an insert blocker and just creates problems. And so they did a very good job of kind of creating some doubles on the edges that you don't expect. They do a very good job of introducing gaps play side that you don't expect. It's hard to deal with. And I thought I've always thought they were very creative with the run scheme. This was like the most extreme example of what they do. They were desperate for a win. They tried everything they could, and they got a lot of production, but it wasn't enough. The Bills won the game. All right, got more to talk to on defense. There's some individuals that I want to get into. I want to talk about Kaiir Elam's performance, defensive snap counts, studs and duds, and more. Folks, be sure to stick with me. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Folks, I could not be more thankful for my wife. She's absolutely incredible, does so much for my family, and she's just unbelievably loving, devoted, patient, an amazing wife and an amazing mother. And this month is all about gratitude. And there's another person we don't thank enough, and that's ourselves. It's sometimes hard to remind ourselves that we are trying our best to make sense of everything, and in this crazy world, that isn't easy. Here's a reminder to send some thanks to the people in your life, including yourself. Therapy is helpful for learning positive coping skills and how to set boundaries. It empowers you to be the best version of yourself. It's not just for those who've experienced major trauma. So if you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. All you do is fill out a brief questionnaire. That'll get you matched with a licensed therapist. You can switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. Let the gratitude flow with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/lockedon today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/lockedon. Folks, as you know, we just had the rally on the river at Buffalo River Works, and that property is incredible. One of the coolest places I've ever been to. Great food, great drinks, great entertainment, so many things to do. Just such a unique place. You got to get over to Buffalo River Works. And I recently just found out that their other location was the first brew pub in Buffalo, the beautiful red brick Pearl Street Grill and Brewery. Pearl Street just remodeled the main floor, so the dining room now converts into a stage for live music after Sabres home games, on the weekends, and even during brunches. Live music all year round. Of course, many Bills fans have been to weddings at Pearl Street or Riverworks, and their in-house wedding coordinators make the whole process easy, fun, and customizable. You want an elegant, historic wedding with beautiful patios and sunset photos? No problem. How about a custom Buffalo Bills themed wedding? If you can dream it up, they can make it happen. This is also true for holiday parties, corporate events, team building, casual happy hours, and all kinds of events. Also, sports fans can reserve groups to watch the games on the big screen at Riverworks, or if you are headed to a Sabres game this year, be sure to stop at Pearl Street before, after, or during the game. Enjoy some live music, crispy wings, or one of their new OM organic beers. Pearl Street Grill and Brewery and Buffalo Riverworks, the most authentically Buffalo venues for everything from dinner to live music to your perfect wedding. For more, visit pearlstreetgrill.com or buffaloriverworks.com. All right, let's talk about some individual players here on defense, defensive snap counts, studs and duds to close this thing out. Elianku, boy, he's a good player. I think he might be the best run-stopping defensive tackle this team has. Big old dude and powerful at the point of attack, taking on doubles, splitting doubles, getting off blocks, making tackles. Elianku's a player. Was really good last week. He was awesome against Miami. He's a practice squad player that I think deserves a spot on this 53-man roster and deserves to be on the field 30-ish% of the time. He can help this football team. And right now they're kind of playing it safe here, I think, because they have one more practice squad elevation for Elianku. And then after that, of course, you either have to stay on the active roster or you can't go back to the practice squad. So I do think that I don't know what more he can do. He's been around for a long time, very clearly in a position to help this team. He's got to be on this roster. And so I call him up one more time and then keep him on the roster. I know that Dawon Smoot's going on injured reserve. You have a roster spot. Perhaps there's a trade. I'm willing to kind of let this play out, but within the next week or so, this guy's got to be on the roster. He's got to be on the field 25 to 35% of the time. He's a good player. Taylor Rapp is a player that I continue to watch and I continue to gain more and more and more of an appreciation for. He's a really good tackler, very good open field tackler. And in this defensive structure where the Bills just invite you to try and stack plays together, his ability to kind of be that last line of defense and make tackles in space has been terrific this year. Terrific. Kind of just where he's supposed to be and a very good tackler. I also think Damar Hamlin, his play gets better and better every week. Game slowing down for him a little bit. And I think maybe it was a little fast earlier, a little hesitant, a little tick off here and there, but I think he's playing a whole lot faster lately. I think those three guys really pop for me in a big way. And Greg Rousseau. I think Greg Rousseau, just consistency with run defense, consistency with pass rush. Greg Rousseau's having a great year. Speaking of defensive ends, Dawon Smoot is going to miss some time here, going on injured reserve. Sean McDermott said he's hopeful that they get him back at some point this season, but he's going to miss time, and that opens up a roster spot. And Javon Solomon only played like 3 snaps of defense, but he was on the field for one of the touchdown runs. They ran right at him. He got reached, pinned inside, couldn't fight back over top of the block. He plays hard, but I just don't know if you can trust him as a run defender right now. Now, I will say that Von Miller, in his first game back, it didn't make much of an impact as a pass rusher. Had a couple of good rush reps, but I thought his run defense was actually really good in this game. I think after Greg Rousseau and Dawon Smoot, Von Miller was probably the next best edge setter in this game for the Bills. I thought he had some very good run reps, to be honest with you. And I don't know that was a great showcase opportunity for him to really unload as a pass rusher based on how quickly Tua gets the ball out and how much misdirection and all that crap that they throw at you. But I think Von Miller, his run defense was really strong in this game. I know a lot of people will be interested in some thoughts on Kaiir Elam with him getting a chance to start for Christian Benford. I thought he was solid. I thought his run defense was really good, which is a nice unexpected thing with Kaiir. Honestly, that was kind of a knock on him coming out of Florida, but I think since he's been in the NFL, I thought the run defense has been pretty good. I thought his coverage was mostly strong. They played a good bit of press coverage, which kind of plays into his strengths. He got beat on the one long throw to Tyreek Hill. That was a tough situation. Kair's an off-man coverage against Tyreek, and they run kind of like a double move with a pump fake, and Kair's leveraging him a certain way, and That pump fake really kind of twists him up, and Tyreek gets free down the field. I thought it was great recovery. But it's Tyreek Hill, man. Tyreek Hill's like the best receiver in the league. Okay, if you're going to lose on a double move, I mean, there's no harm in that. I thought for the most part, Kaiir Elam played fine. He played fine. Had the big fumble recovery on the Taron Johnson peanut punch. I thought he did a good job as a third corner filling in for one of the best in the league in Christian Benford. Defensive snap counts, the Bills played 61 snaps of defense. Defensive ends, Greg Rousseau, 74%. A.J. Epinesa, 39%. DeJuan Smoot, 36%. Von Miller, 34%. Casey Toohill, 18%. Javon Solomon, 3%. Defensive tackle, Ed Oliver, 72%. Daquan Jones, 59%. Elianku, 34%. Austin Johnson, 26%. Linebacker, Terrel Bernard, 100%. He was a mess in this game. Had a couple of good moments, but I thought he fell victim to not being able to get off contact a ton. Dorian Williams, 87% of snaps. I thought he had his moments as well. More coverage issues for him than anything. Rasul Douglas, going to corners now. Rasul Douglas, 100%. Kaiir Elam, 95%. Jamarcus Ingram, 5%. Taron Johnson, 95%. At safety, Hamlin and Rapp, 100%. Cam Lewis, 12%. Cole Bishop, 2%. Studs and duds, they got a decent list of studs here for you. Josh Allen, stud. Really appreciate the way he played this game. Did the smart right thing with the football, was patient. Ray Davis, 9 touches, 80 yards, big, huge catch and run for a touchdown. Some good physical runs otherwise. Mack Hollins is a stud. Touchdown catch on 4th and goal. 5 catches on 5 targets. The only guy that caught a pass on the game-winning drive. I thought that he stepped in and did well for this team. And there was another time, one of the play-action shots where I was talking about earlier, where I wish Josh was looking down the field. He had Mack Hollins deep. And, clean win for Mack. And Josh wasn't looking there. I think he's a stud, in this game. And some good special teams reps as well. Q Morris is a stud. He doesn't get a lot of opportunities to catch the football, but when he does, it's always the most crazy touchdown catch you'll ever see. So I know Josh made a superhuman play, but also that's a great catch by Q Morris. Khalil Shakir, unbelievable efficiency, yards after catch. He makes it happen. Tons of missed forced tackles in this game, tons of yards after contact. I mean, he earned his yak in this game. I think he averaged 10 yards after the catch per reception again. Spencer Brown, Connor McGovern, David Edwards, terrific games for those 3 players on the offensive line. Taylor Rapp, Greg Rousseau, Elianku, and of course, franchise record 61-yard game-winning field goal, Tyler Bass. People don't forget, he made from 40 and 49 as well, and those were pure kicks. And going back and watching that kick from Tyler Bass, not only was it obviously long enough, the dude split the uprights. It was as good of a kick as you could hit. I do have some duds in this one. Terrel Bernard, I thought was a dud in this game. I know he's important for how the defense lines up and all that, but I thought he was out-leveraged all game long, dealing with a lot of contact. Even when he felt like he was a step ahead of the play, it's like he just wasn't filling and getting downhill, and he's kind of getting stuck in the wash all game long. Dorian Williams, I thought, was a dud. I thought a lot of the production that Tua had to Tyreek Hill was Dorian just not being in the right depth with his coverage drops. And then Daquan Jones, I thought he I just expect more out of him as a run defender in a game like this, going up against a couple of really underwhelming guards and Robert Jones and Liam Eichenberg, and him not being able to get off those blocks and really kind of bubble some runs. It was kind of disappointing for me. So there you have it. The All-22 review, Bills, Dolphins, done with the Dolphins until next year. And we'll see what tricks they have up their sleeves. But the Bills sweep the Dolphins in the year 2024, and all is right in the world. All right, folks, that's going to do it for us here today on the podcast. Our next conversation on Wednesday will be herd mentality. And, of course, we'll start to get ready for the Indianapolis Colts crossover Thursday, the primer. You know the drill. You know what's coming. Don't miss anything. Make sure that you're subscribed. Check out the Herd Mentality Substack. There's a link in today's show notes. So much great content coming over there. As always, I kindly ask you to share, subscribe, rate, and review. Have a great rest of your day. Go Bills, and look forward to catching up with you again real soon.